podcast. That way, you'll never miss an episode. And your KBLA 1580.com website to check out our new health and wellness hub. We are stepping up our commitment to helping all of our leaders, learners, and listeners to lead healthier lives. So many tips, tools, and resources right there at your fingertips. And so go to KBLA1580.com to check it out. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, USA Today is reporting that Ryan Ruth has been found guilty of trying to assassinate Donald Trump at Florida golf course. That's right. A jury today found Ryan Ruth guilty of trying to kill Donald Trump at one of his Florida golf courses last year. Was convicted in federal court of attempting to assassinate a charge carrying a possible sentence of life in prison. The 12-person jury also found him guilty of assaulting a federal officer and several weapons violations. After the verdict was read, Ruth appeared to end with a pen. Yes, you have to tell him, and they dragged Ruth from the courtroom as they did his daughter Sarah, who pleaded with her father not to hurt himself, saying, "Dad, I love you," she screamed from the back of the courtroom. "I'll get you out." He didn't hurt anybody. Ruth was shackled and brought back to the courtroom to finish proceedings. He did not appear to be injured. And in other news, speaking of President Trump, this one hits close to home in LA. He taps what he calls a tough patriot, an LA lawyer known for crypto and guns. He taps him as a Ninth Circuit judge. He never held public office or donned a judge's robe, as reported by the LA Times, but an arch-conservative LA County attorney is racing towards confirmation on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, accelerating the once liberal court's sharp rightward turn under President Trump. A competitive target shooter with a background in cryptocurrency, that's a heck of a combination, Eric Tung, was approached by the White House counsel's office on March 28th to replace Judge Sandra Siegel-Acuda, a Bush appointee and one of the court's most prominent conservatives who is taking senior status. He's a new father and still relatively unknown in national legal circles. Tung found an ally in Mike Davis, that's a pal of his, a reputed judge whisperer in Trump's orbit. And so Passing Law appeared on a Society panel at the Reagan Library this year, debating legal efforts to restrain of left, and that well for him because Trump is checking for him to be on the Ninth Circuit. So we'll see how that goes, but things seem to be breaking in his direction. Finally, USA Today is also reporting that Jimmy Kimmel breaks his silence on social media ahead of his show's return. Jimmy Kimmel is ending his social media silence. The USA Today is reporting that the late night host prepares to return to air tonight. And he posted on Instagram for the first time since the show was suspended following his controversial comments made about conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. Kimmel shared a photo of himself with legendary TV writer and producer Norman Lear, along with the caption, "Die Today." Lear died in 2023 at the age of 101. The creator of the classic sitcoms like All in the Family and The Jeffersons was outspoken about his political beliefs during his life. When we come forward, we're switching gears. There are a number of books that are coming out today. Obviously, a lot of folks are talking about former Vice President Kamala Harris's new book, 107 Days, which is released today. I have been listening to it on Audible while traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast here. I'm going to have plenty to say about that in the coming days. But there's another book that's out that is getting a lot of attention, and rightfully so, given how much we've seen the LGBTQ community as a target from conservative activists. When we come forward, you don't want to miss my conversation with drag queens Julie J and Alexis Michelle. They have a new book that is out that I think really humanizes drag queens in a way that maybe we haven't seen before. This conversation. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT because nothing fights sweat better.
Stay fresher under pressure.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part, they accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of Black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
National News The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. I'm really delighted to be in conversation with the co-authors of an exciting new book called No Tea, No Shade, Life as a Drag Queen. I'm delighted to welcome Julie J and Alexis to the show. Welcome.
Good morning. Hello.
Good morning. This is a big day for you. This is publication day. As an author, I know what it's like to birth a work into the world. I know how excited I was on publication day. How excited are you to birth this new book, No Tea, No Shade, Life as a Drag Queen into the World? Alexis?
Well, I'm over the moon. I have always loved to talk, and I wondered how that might translate to the page. And with the encouragement of our wonderful author, Angela Guzman, I found that spring in my written step. And I'm particularly excited to be co-authoring this book with these incredible drag artists and very especially Miss Julie J. I think that our range of drag styles and life experiences make this like a really special group, and I'm so thrilled to be on the board with Julie.
Now, Julie J asked you, how are you feeling today? And for our leaders, learners, and listeners who are less familiar with the culture, can you set the record straight, the difference between drag, versus being a trans man or a trans woman?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I feel very excited. I'm so thrilled that today is the day. It feels like it's been so long ago. I feel strangely separated from what I wrote, even though it's such integral stories to my life. So excited is the first thing. Anxious, and I'm hopeful. I think that we're in a time period, and this kind of answers your second question of, there's so much legislation that is working against the existence of trans people in the country right now. So I think that, at least I can speak for myself. I hope that my words are able to soften and soften the minds and inform people as possible. But to answer your question, Doctor, the biggest difference, the like base level difference that I have kind of been communicating with people is that, drag is a performance art, right? It is something that can be put on. It's something that can be taken off. Transness is not it's not something that you wipe off with a makeup wipe. It's not something that can be legislated out of. It always is. It always has been, and it always will be. And I think that is one of the most fundamental differences.
Thank you for clarifying that for folks who may be less familiar. Let's talk a little bit about your personal journey. Alexis, what initially interests you in the art form of drag? Where did it start for you?
So, and I wrote about quite a wide spectrum of time in my experience in this art form and in my own identity. And so the instinct to dress up, or for me, express something that was more femme than what was expected of me or what I was, in quotes, born into, was always there from a very young age. And I write about that in the book, about the instinct to present femme or dress femme from a young age. And I think at a certain point along the way, because this instinct to do this was always there, I think at some point, to make it more palatable, even to myself, let alone other people, I connected drag with my innate theatricality. I know that, I think all of us in this know this is true for Jesus too, but we come from performance, theatrical backgrounds. And I think that for a long time, I sort of compartmentalized this drag expression through the veil of theatricality and something that was performative, something that I put on. And just as Julie said, when there's a part of your identity that is separate from the art form, that isn't something that comes on or off. And in my own way, I had to sort of find that. And what I found is that drag can give you a feeling. This is also something I wrote about. Drag can give you a feeling that when you take it off, you can take the feeling with you. It can fortify you. But I have learned about myself that separate from this dressing up, this costume drag, I found something very just like a fluidity within my own expression. It made me realize that this wasn't a performative art form. This was also me tapping into the parts of me that are more femme or female.
Alexis, just as a follow-up, does it bother you that, you know, drag has been, you know, not weaponized, but demonized in recent months, in recent years? One of the things that Julie J just alluded to, there's a lot of anti-LGBTQ sentiment that's whipping around, not just the United States, but whipping around the world. We've seen, you know, drag queens that do, you know, live readings, for example. We've seen them demonized in. I'm curious as to how you reconcile that with this art form, an art form that does not represent all of who you are. You know, it is a performance. You're not able to just sort of leave the performance at the venue, right? When people discover that you are a drag artist, sometimes that can translate into danger after the performance. And so talk to us about how you are reconciling those things in these turbulent times.
I mean, and I hope Julie will chime in on this too, but like in the gentlest and most innocent sense of what's going on right now, I think sometimes drag is misunderstood for being something other than authenticity or self-expression or art. And in the more sinister sense, as you said, it's being weaponized, or the fact that we do it is being weaponized against us as a community. And yes, there is a unique challenge, you know, for non-binary folks, but especially for trans folks, as Julie said, because this is not solely, while drag is a performative art form, the lines between our identities and our drag can be fine. And so that's not something that you leave at the club when you step outside. All I would say is that just as sort of hundreds, maybe thousands of years old, so is the existence of queer people, non-binary people, trans people. And we haven't gone anywhere. We've only become more authentic and more out loud and more fully lived. And that will continue despite this confusion, or this, in sadder cases, weaponizing that's going on. But Julie, please add to this if you'd like.
Julie?
Yeah, I think that, you know, I've spoken about this a little bit. I speak about it a little bit in the book and in some other interviews that we've done. But, you know, drag, I cannot stress to the world enough, anywhere that I go, how drag is not a threat. It is not a threat to your children. It is not a threat to your education systems. It is not a threat to your bathroom safety. It is not a threat to any of your daily life and how you live and operate it, either, you know, as an American or a citizen of any other country. It is simply a extension of the joy of what it means to be human, and all of the different ways, beautiful ways, that we express ourselves. You know, there's no part of drag that is interested in domination. There are some groups of people who are interested in domination and in a manifest destiny of sorts. But the only thing that drag queens that I know, drag kings that I know, are trying to manifest is joy and a reflection of the human spirit.
Well said. Well said. Listen, let's switch gears. I want to talk a little bit about the drag economy. The drag economy, because, you know, Look, you know, the rent is too damn high. So folks have got to be entrepreneurial, and I think both are very powerful demonstrations of that. Alexis, you know, you are also an actor and an accomplished cook. A lot of people may not know that you're an accomplished who stormed the international stage on RuPaul's Drag Race Season 9 and All-Star Season 8. You've also appeared on a number of shows, including Dragnificent and True Colors and the PBS series One Voice Broadway. How is the drag economy faring? Are you doing better than most? Are you doing as well as most? Or you know, are you just trying to keep your head above water?
Well, I definitely won't look side to side and compare, because compare and despair is a very real thing. So what I can say from my experience is I've been so lucky, so fortunate to, for about a decade or so, been making my living solely as an artist, as an entertainer, and largely within this art form. I think what we are all doing, myself and I think the other folks, the other authors in this book, and really other drag artists at large, I think what we are doing is diversifying and becoming as multifaceted as, so, you know, for me, that means, yes, like occupying conventional drag spaces that have been sort of made available or provided to me by my exposure on shows like drag or on drag. It also means, and TV and film, it you know, in scripted material, it also means opportunities like this, getting to use our mind and our words to put it, you know, pen to paper, put it to the page. I mean, there are all sorts of facets and avenues, and I think that's really what's interesting about drag, is like, just as people are multifaceted individuals, so are drag artists, and you see people doing a variety of things, you know. So like I'm speaking to my experience, but we all have different experience. I mean, I won't speak for her, but like I watch in admiration, you know, at the kind of campaigns that Julie J inhabits. But yeah, like we're all out here doing it.
That's right. I mean, well, look, I'm gonna Julie J. For our leaders, learners, and listeners that don't know, you better know that Julie J is also a Brooklyn-based actress and a community organizer. Julie has starred in horror comedy film Queens of the Dead. She's also been featured in advertising campaigns for Maybelline and luxury jewelry brand Alexis Bitter. You're no slouch either. Tell us, from your vantage point, Julie, you know, how is sort of the drag economy, how's the drag economy faring, you know, in these turbulent times? And, you know, also keeping in mind that the experiences of drag queens and drag kings, drag people of color can be very different from, you know, white drag folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where
Well-
authentic voice, powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is highlighting progress in closing a $1 billion budget gap.
Some people said it couldn't be done, but I am so glad to stand here and say that we have proved the naysayers wrong.
After submitting her spending plan, the city council revised it, cutting expected layoffs to 600 and ultimately saving more than 1,000 city jobs that were originally planned to be cut. Black Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says she wants the city to host the 2031 Super Bowl. Speaking at the State of the District Conference, she pointed to D.C. hosting the 2027 NFL Draft and the new Commander Stadium opening in 2030, arguing sports investments will boost the city's economy. And the subreddit for Black singer David is locked after fans accused him of moderating it and deleting critical posts. The singer is under investigation after a missing 15-year-old girl's remains were found in his car. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
South LA 105 East connector to the 110. It's a wreck in the center divider of that 110 North connector. Big delays are pushing back all the way out of Hawthorne, leaving the 405. Culver City on the 405 southbound at Venice Boulevard. They're clearing a stalled car out of middle lanes with the slow drive out of West LA, leaving Wilshire Boulevard. Let's head out to Irvine, 5 northbound before Jeffrey Road. A crash has been cleared to the right shoulder. We're looking at overall delays out of Irvine, away from the 133 freeway.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The 3-0 Chargers will be facing a rookie quarterback Sunday when they play the New York Giants in New York. Giants coach Brian Daboll is benching 14-year veteran Russell Wilson in favor of Jackson Dart, the Giants' first-round draft pick in April. Wilson has struggled during the Giants' 0-3 start. He's thrown 3 interceptions and did not have a touchdown pass in 2 of the Giants' 3 games. Giants fans booed Wilson during Sunday's 22-9 loss to Kansas City. HBCU Delaware State, a member of the MEAC Conference, leads the nation in rushing among Division I AA schools. Delaware State is averaging 291 yards per game. The Hornets are 3-1 under first-year coach Deshaun Jackson, a former NFL wide receiver who grew up in Long Beach. Jackson played 8 of his 15 NFL seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. Delaware State is at Sacred Heart on Saturday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Come to
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it! Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833 KBLACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
That help to supplement the art form that we love and that we care so much about. I think that there are a lot of queens and kings and things that I know who, within the past 2 to 3 years, have really struggled to maintain a career in drag, especially for those who are full-time artists, because the political landscape is directly impacting funding that so many organizations get, that companies get. During Pride season, so many of us rely on, in years past, I've relied on the money that I make in June to quite literally get me through the year. And when I think this year was the year that I really felt the difference in years prior of, these corporations, restaurants, public spaces, organizations. All of these people are really feeling the act of the climate that we are in, and there's a effect with that. And unfortunately, as drag performers, I don't want to say at the bottom of the cultural kind of pool, because I think that so many of us, I think all of us actually inform culture. We create culture. That is a unique talent of ours, but we are very frequently overlooked, and we are very frequently the people who get the short end of the stick, which is important.
I mean, I really appreciate you saying that and reminding our listeners who are probably learning more about the experience of drag performers in this conversation than maybe they've known before. But I see, drag performers as a bellwether in terms of the strength of our community. And I'm not just talking about the LGBTQ community, but I'm saying, hey, we live in a diverse world, right? And, I'd like to think that if drag performers are feeling safe, if they are participating in the economy in a meaningful way, then especially drag queens of color, then we're all probably doing, better as well. And so I also want to ask you all, we talked about RuPaul's Drag Race a number of times. How much credit do you all give to RuPaul in terms of really elevating drag as performance art, and really, taking drag mainstream? Obviously, there are a lot of drag queens that are a part of a very long arc of history, But what difference has RuPaul specifically made in your life, in your career, Alexis?
Well, I mean, listen, you've just highlighted the big thing, which is, and this is the God's honest truth, there is no other household name in the world like RuPaul. Now, that's just a fact. There are many drag artists who many people could name in their kitchens, but the one that more people can name is RuPaul, and that's just the way it is. Now, that does not, for my money or my experience, that does not validate her or her drag or their drag, his, whatever. I don't. I think what we can be grateful for, what I'm grateful for, is that RuPaul definitely has been the poster child and the spear carrier of bringing drag forward. There's also a wonderful team of people who have gotten behind Ru and for Ru and Ru into all of our lives. So of course it's not done alone. It do take a village, people, as RuPaul has said. And I think what's amazing is, when they set out to make Drag Race, they were setting out to make something that was about tenacity of human spirit. RuPaul had said that many times, and also about authenticity. And I don't think they ever expected it to become a global phenomenon or be as commercially viable as it's been. And RuPaul used to speak quite openly about how drag existed and belonged and would always be fringe, would never be mainstream. And so I think RuPaul has seen drag come into spaces that he never thought that drag would. So I think we can all be grateful for, as I said, the carrying of the spear. But I think we also need to be careful just to remember, it hasn't been done alone. It hasn't been done in a vacuum. And there are so many, people that have brought this art form forward. But let's also just highlight, you were just speaking about the experience of performers of color, and let's celebrate too for a moment that the household name in the world of drag is a person of color.
Come on, Ru is black. Blackity black. And we love it. In our remaining minutes with the two of you, I really just gotta give a lot of love to this book, No Tea, No Shade. It really offers a rare backstage pass into lives of drag's most dazzling and defiant figures. And there are so many stories, but I really just want to lift up the story of Kennedy Ann Scott. Kennedy Ann Scott was awarded Teacher of the Year in Nashville, Tennessee. Folks like Olivia Lux starred in Rent and Kinky Boots. Of course, Julie J, you've raised more than $100,000 for trans and LGBTQI organizations. And Alexis, you received really great reviews from the New York Times for your role in Abla Cage, Oxfala, right?
Yeah, the casual fall. Oh, yeah.
Right, my is terrible, but yours is even better. My point is, I really love the range of stories that are in here. I don't think a lot of folks think of a drag performer also as being Teacher of the Year. I don't think folks are able to hold how dynamic the lives of drag performers are. And so hopefully the next time people see a headline that is seeking to demonize the art form of drag or drag performers themselves, I hope they think back to our conversation. I hope that they reach for this book that folks should go out and get, No Tea, No Shade, because at a time when folks want to turn us into the boogeyman, I think it's always important that we turn on the lights And this book does exactly that. No tea, no shade. Life as a drag queen. It turns on the lights. Julie J, what is your biggest prayer as your book is released today, and folks across this country and around the world will have a chance to consume what you all have brilliant the world?
You know, I think that literature as a tool in our society, it is so important and it is so transformative. What I have gained, even from rereading this book, is that we, as people who exist on the margins of society, we are a part of the whole, right? And when I take a step out, when I take a step outside of my drag, when I take a step outside of my Blackness, when I take a step outside of my transness, when I look at our country, when I look at and I think about people like Kennedy Ann Scott, who's in Tennessee right now on the ground teaching our youth about conduct, on what it means to be a decent human being. I am so grateful for drag. And my prayer is that everyone, wherever they are in the country or across the world, will pick up this book and they will be able to see the heart and soul, all of the beautiful things that make us human beings.
Alexis, I'm gonna give you the final word. What's your prayer on publication day? You have done something that not everybody's done, and you know, I remember this feeling myself, feeling that somehow, some way, I have become immortal as an author. That there is evidence that I was here in this world and I did something worth noting. Has that feeling washed over you?
There's an expression or a word used called evergreen about you know, when you publish something that it speaks to the moment, and I think this book speaks to the moment like it never could have before, and it feels so essential right now. And I think that it will continue to be that way as time goes on. And so, you know, I want to sort of piggyback on what Julie said. When I have experienced hardship or low feelings, you know, even within my career, within this art form, it has been hearing from young people who say, oh, just by you doing what you do, or just by you existing, just by you putting on a dress, I feel like I'm okay. And that has fortified me like no other. And so I would say first and foremost, I hope that the young people who, given them, they are okay. I hope my prayer, and I don't want to close myself off to the miracle or the possibility of the miracle that someone of a different age or of a different mindset might pick this up and might gain a new softness, as Julie said, a new understanding. So yes, I think our prayers are quite aligned.
Well, we are with you, praying for that miracle, the miracle that this work will soften the hearts and open the minds of so many. We want to encourage our leaders, learners, and listeners to pick up No Tea, No Shade, Life as a Drag Queen. Let me just say, I think it's fascinating that a book with this title is coming out on the same day that Vice President Kamala Harris is releasing her memoir. So there's a lot of tea and a lot of shade out there in the ether. But my thanks to Julie J and Alexis for joining us, the first drag queens to join us here on A More Perfect Union, but certainly not the last. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least likely to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Dr. Renee here. Did you know this time of year is considered peak asthma season because we typically see a spike in asthma-related hospitalizations? If you have asthma and are having difficulty breathing despite medication, it's time to check in with your doctor so you can help avoid landing yourself in the hospital this season. To learn more about managing your asthma, visit www.luma-edu.com. That's LUMA-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and it's time for the quiet part out loud. How Black Christians are confronting just legacy. That's right. Hours after Charlie Kirk was killed in Utah, Pastor Jamal Bryant condemned the shooting of the right-wing activist on social media. Videos of the event shocked and horrified him. That's what Pastor Bryant said. Pastor Bryant being the leader of a large, predominantly Black church in suburban Atlanta. But in the days that followed, Pastor Bryant said that he grew unnerved by conservatives and white Christians praising Kirk while ignoring some of the most controversial rhetoric, particularly on issues of race. Many conservative Christians, particularly white across the country, they've lionized Charlie Kirk, saying he died while proselytizing for his Christianity-influenced conservative ideals. Some have equated his killing to the murder of civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. tens of thousands of people at Kirk's Memorial at a football stadium in Arizona on Sunday. They listened for hours to speak from the start, grow conservative Christianity and align it more closely with the U.S. government. Speakers called Kirk a martyr, a prophet. His colleagues at Turning Point USA, a conservative youth movement, said that the event attended by President Trump satisfied Kirk's dream to, quote, bring the Holy Spirit into a Trump rally. Well, Kirk's death and the embrace of his legacy by some conservative Christians, it's forcing some Black Christians like Pastor Jamal Bryant to reconcile Kirk's insulting comments about people of color, which many considered racist, with values of tolerance and empathy that are fundamental to their truth. After he posted on social media that someone can simultaneously believe that violence is wrong and that how somebody dies doesn't erase how they lived. That is, a lot of folks are attempting to reconcile in this moment. Pat Bryant wants to say the amount of hate speech that both my wife and I have received on social media, the number of derogatory calls and slurs and pejorative statements left at our church speaks volumes. And all of these we have a lot of work to do. I think I saw a post by a very prominent songwriter, Black songwriter, on the matter. And look, nobody deserves to be killed. Nobody deserves to be murdered for what they believe. But similarly, we can't go out on a witch hunt and try and root out people who believe differently than we do. I think part of people reconciles that there were a number of folks. I have friends or professors that were all part of that hit list whose lives were turned upside down because their beliefs didn't align with Charlie's. Doesn't work out for anybody. When we try and marginalize and harm people who don't agree with us. That's the irony of the situation. The harm that was inflicted on Charlie also inflicted harm. The real question is, what are we going to do about it? What are we really going to do about it? This is beyond canceling someone by simply unfollowing them or going on a social media rant. Their lives at stake. Their livelihoods at stake. We can't be silent about that. Certainly, we don't intend to. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More will we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump now says he will not meet with Democrats on a shutdown deal, calling their demands unserious.
If we gave them everything they wanted, they wouldn't extend.
He accused them of pushing $1 trillion in new spending, including healthcare for undocumented immigrants. Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer say they will blame Trump and Republicans if the government runs out of money after September 30th. Community organizer Monica Cannon Grant has pleaded guilty to 18 federal charges for diverting funds from her Violence in Boston nonprofit tied to the Black Lives Matter movement. Prosecutors say she and her late husband used the money for personal expenses and recommend about 18 months in prison.